These are neck cars from the tall kneeling position. Begin by curling your chin down towards your collarbone, scraping it to the right side across the collarbone until you can't go any further. Tilt the head back, rotating it all the way around to the left side, down the left collarbone back to center. While you're articulating the neck, be sure to kind of irradiate some tension throughout the body. So we're thinking about keeping our butts tight, not tilting through the hips, driving down through the fingers so our shoulders don't tip left to right. All the motion is coming through our neck. Thoracic spine cars. Begin with your hands on your shoulders and then flex the spine forward. From there, you're going to rotate your shoulders to the right and then tilt your body to the right. From there, you're going to start leaning back until you can't go any further and begin to rotate to the left side, ending in that tilt and rotation on the left and rotating back center. As we go through the articulations of the thoracic spine, be sure to keep your butt tight, pull your belly button in, and keep your belly button forward. This will ensure that all the rotation is coming through the thoracic spine, finding extension, lateral flexion, and flexion of the middle of the back. Spine cars from the quadruped position. So from your hands and knees, we want to start thinking about individually moving each vertebra of the spine, starting with the neck, C1, C2, C3, so forth, all the way down to the lumbar spine, articulating each one into flexion until our spine ends up into a nice frown curvature. Going into extension here, we want to think about pulling each vertebra down individually until the spine ends up into a nice smile. All the while, we don't want our hips to necessarily shift to the left or to the right too much. We don't want our arms and elbows to bend. Constantly articulating each vertebrae one by one into flexion and extension. Scapular cars from the quadruped position. So a few cues here that we want to look out for is that we want to keep the arms straight the whole time. We don't want to see any bend from the elbow or too much lateral or forward shift in the hips. You want all the articulation here or movement here to come from the shoulder blade. As you can see, the shoulder blade here is going up, back, down, and around, making big circles as everything else stays true. So all of the movement here is coming from my shoulder blades. Shoulder cars from the quadruped position. So similar cues here as our scapular cars, where we don't want to get a whole lot of shift and movement from the down arm or the hips. My right arm is going to reach through the fingers with my thumb up. Once I feel the shoulders stop, I'm going to start rotating the arm outwards, where I'm going to get all the rotation from my humeral head. As you can see, my palm here rotates out, and I'm going to keep spinning as I come into a true articulation around. The reverse angle is extension, where I want my palm to face outward. As I bring the arm up, I feel the shoulder blades stop me, and that's where I start rotation, coming around and reaching through the fingers forward, flexion. Quadruped hip cars. So I want all the rotation here to come through my right hip capsule. As you can see, I'm going to come up into extension, and I'm going to bring the leg straight out until I feel the hip capsule stop, and that's when I want to start rotation into hip flexion. So outwards, spin, drive into hip flexion with that knee driving towards my elbow. All the while, I'm pushing through the floor with my hands, not letting any bend, rotation, or tilt happen through my shoulders. My other hip stays true as the hip comes up, rotates, out and around into extension. Elbow cars start with the palms forward, rotating the forearms out as you curl up into flexion. At the top, you curl the forearms in. Keep curling in as you drive into extension. This is going to feel a lot like a bicep curl or a tricep extension, but keep trying to drive rotation through the elbow joint and the forearms as you go from flexion to extension. Wrist cars begin by keeping the forearm parallel to the floor, so we don't want any rotation coming from the forearm or from the elbow. From there, keep the fingers straight, don't curl them. As you flex the wrist up, continue laterally, curling out, facing the palm away from you as it comes down, curling back medially towards the body as the wrist comes up to square one. Again, limit any curling from the fingers. You want all the rotation to come from the wrist. Knee cars. Begin by pulling the toes up towards the knee, so we're going to dorsiflex the ankle. From there, start internally and externally rotating the knee. You want all the rotation here to come from the knee and not from the ankle itself. So as I drive into external rotation, so as I spin out the knee, I want to flex up away from the floor, come down holding external rotation, rotate the knee in, and then flex up again holding internal rotation. Ankle cars. So opposite of knee cars, I want all of my rotation to come from the ankle here. I'm going to begin by facing my foot in. I'm going to gas pedal the pinky toe down towards the floor, swoop the bottom of the bowl, and then pull my pinky toe up as my foot is facing away from me. And then I want to go into the opposite direction as I start with my foot facing out. I'm going to drive my big toe to the floor, swoop the bottom of the bowl, so now my foot is facing in, and then I pull the big toe up towards the ceiling, and I go in that direction as well.